Locked on NFL Thursday. We got a big Thursday night football matchup, and nobody better to preview it than our host of Locked On Cardinals, Alex Clancy, who will be with me. Not only that, but we got to look at some NFL head coaches, and after the firing of Matt Rhule, who will be next? Again, a very Arizona Cardinals-centric topic. And then finally, what is Alex's and mine best game of the weekend in the NFL? We're breaking it all down and more on a Thursday edition of the Locked On NFL podcast. Let's roll.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Football fans, the NFL weekend has begun. It is Thursday. We got a Thursday night football matchup to look forward to. We're going to get into that and tell you what to be looking for in that game. Nobody better to break it down than my co-host, the host of Locked On Cardinals, Alex Clancy. I am Tyler Rowland, host of Locked On Titans. Before we dive into our Thursday night football preview, do want to let you know that today's episode of Locked On NFL is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on your entry. First-time users can get a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. It is Locked On NFL Monday through Friday. NFL content, free and available on all platforms, including the Locked On NFL YouTube channel. Subscribe there. Smash the notification bell. Throw a thumbs up on the video if you're watching right now. But, Alex, I've been teasing it. You are the host of Locked On Cardinals. There is nobody better to talk to than you for this matchup. What are you looking for in this Thursday night football matchup between the Cardinals and the New Orleans Saints?
You know, Tyler, when we've been talking over the last couple of weeks and how I've described the NFC as a yuck box,
yes,
that's kind of what this game is. But there's a lot of very important, underlying stories here. One of which, start with New Orleans. Dennis Allen, first-year coach with New Orleans. Everybody's hurt on offense, it seems. Andy Dalton looks to be stealing that role from Jameis Winston, even when Jameis Winston comes back. But they live and breathe by Alvin Kamara and that defense. That's what it's been. Even when Drew Brees was on his downturn, that's what it was. And Michael Thomas has been out. On the side of the Cardinals, I just want to see the Cardinals score a touchdown on offense. Haven't seen that in a while. They kicked the field goal with 10 minutes and 40 seconds left on Sunday against Seattle. Didn't score an offensive point again against the 31st ranked defense. One of these teams will be in a pseudo pre-Armageddon state after Thursday. And the other will be in we're only a game out of the wild card spot. Like the NFC, it's so clunky. The teams at the top, aside from Philly, we don't know what Dallas is. We don't know what the Giants are. Those are the teams that have stolen wins so far this year. Everybody else, Minnesota, everybody else is kind of in that yuck box or muck box. I don't know what I called it. It was one of those. So it's going to be very uncomfortable conversations if the Cardinals lose Thursday night. I will promise you that. There will be very uncomfortable conversations to be had because, remember, the Cardinals were down 23 points against the Raiders or 20 points against the Raiders and came back in Kyler Murray fashion in the third quarter and fourth at overtime with the scoop and score. They should be 1-5 right now. Yeah. They should be. And they could be 2-5 Thursday night if they don't get their act together and overcome the New Orleans defense.
Yeah, I feel like you mentioned, this is a fork in the road game for these teams because regardless of how much yuck or muck is in the NFC sandbox, going to 2-5 for the Cardinals or going to 2-5 for the Saints, I think it's going to be hard to come back from that, even with the mucky muck that is the NFC. But like you mentioned, you look at it, NFC West, 49ers, Rams, Seahawks, all of them 3-3. So if the Cardinals go to 3-4, even though it's felt really bad, and yeah, they probably should be 1-5, they're still right there. And it almost feels like they can start anew with a new season and kind of flip things around. Now, it may be more difficult in the NFC South because you think that Tampa Bay is going to get it together at some point, but Tampa Bay's 3-3. The Falcons are 3-3. If the Saints go to 3-4, they've been super beat up, and even Andy Dalton has a back issue now. I think if Marshawn Lattimore plays in this game and he can go up against DeAndre Hopkins, I think it's been proven with Hopkins and then what Hollywood Brown was doing for the beginning of the season. Kyler Murray has to have that one guy out there that he could just go to over and over. His safety blanket, his baby blanket, you could say, for Kyler Murray. So for me, we're about the same height. So who am I making fun of? What it is, what it is. But either way, I think that if Marshawn Lattimore can be out there for the Saints to even limit DeAndre Hopkins, who there's no way Hopkins is going to be at his best in this game. It would just be so hard and difficult to do that. Maybe Hopkins can, but if Lattimore plays in this game, I think it gives the Saints a decided advantage to dominate on defense. If he doesn't play, Hopkins can make some big plays for the Cardinals and keep them in it. Either way, I think we're going to get another low-scoring slugfest on Thursday night. I think to make my prediction on this one, and it's a team you cover, I don't know if you're ready to make a prediction necessarily, but I think I'm going to take the Saints to win 17-16.
Yeah, that's completely rational, completely fair. I'm taking the Cardinals, and I don't feel, whatever. I'm taking the Cardinals. The thing is,
yeah, it's not like you're a homer. You criticize the team more than anybody else,
But the thing, this is rational, as I normally am, Tyler.
Right,
so
right.
Here's the thing. The offense, subtract Hollywood Brown, add DeAndre Hopkins and Robbie Anderson, is technically a net positive. Like, even though it seems completely just backwards, like you lose the 25-year-old who's been a stud all year, and you add the 30-year-old veteran, and you add Robbie Anderson, who's a burner on the outside, who's been with the Cardinals for 36 seconds at this point. Like, it still is a net positive. And they have Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
And they have Rondell Moore, who's actually getting some run. And hopefully James Conner will be back. The offensive line, they're getting Cody Ford back, who's going to be able to take the place of Justin Pugh, who's out for the year. Like, when the offense on paper, the offense of the Arizona Cardinals on paper, on depth chart paper, is better than a lot of offenses in the NFL on paper. And this is where the Cardinals are the cardiac Cardinals is what some people call them. This is the game where they're going to put up a 30-burger and just get everybody reinvested in this team. Like Michael Scott, I'm ready to get hurt again. Like, that's what the Cardinals do. DeAndre Hopkins, I'm going to disagree with you on that. DeAndre Hopkins he's a guy that is wearing jeans, playing pickleball, just balling out against everybody who hasn't played in a month.
Yeah.
I would choose that over the other because this isn't an injury. It's a suspension for PEDs.
Right.
He's just, I can't wait. So I'll take the Cardinals. I think they're going to score an offensive touchdown today, which will be, an improvement from last week.
Right.
But if they don't, you might want to listen to Locked On Cardinals for the next 2 weeks.
Well, we're going to get a little preview of what that might be like if they do lose that game, because I agree with you, with all the offensive talent that they still have, even without Hollywood Brown and an offensive coach in Cliff Kingsbury, they got to be doing better on offense than they have so far this year. But like I teased, we are going to talk about which NFL head coach will be fired next. We'll look at some of the odds from BetOnline, and obviously Alex has a front row seat to one of the situations that we may be discussing. Before we get into that, though, do want to tell you guys about our sponsor over at Blue Nile. Whether you're looking to pop the question, you have a milestone to celebrate, or you just want to let your love sparkle, Blue Nile can help you make your celebrations even more memorable. As the original online jeweler, Blue Nile offers the largest selection of independently graded diamonds and pieces priced significantly below traditional retailers. Blue Nile has helped millions of couples create their perfect engagement ring. Their easy online tools let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then help you handcraft her perfect one-of-a-kind engagement ring. And guys, I got to tell you, if you're like me, I don't know what any of that stuff means, but That's why it's so important that Blue Nile has experts on hand 24/7. You're never going to be out there in the ocean trying to figure out what clarity of diamond to buy, because Lord knows I don't know what to do. Blue Nile is never going to leave you out there on your own. They always have experts ready to help. They're available by phone or by chat to help you find the most memorable gift possible at every budget. Make your moment sparkle with Blue Nile. Go to BlueNile.com and use the promo code Locked On to save $50 on your purchase of $500 or more. That's BLUENILE, BlueNile.com, code Locked On to save $50 on your purchase of $500 or more. Once again, that is BlueNile.com, promo code Locked On.
I mean, could get weird here for a minute. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Tyler Rowland, Locked On Titans. We make up Locked On NFL Thursday. Thank you for making Locked On NFL your first listen each and every day, free and available on all platforms. This is an oddly Arizona Cardinals-centric show. They're one of the
happen to go that way.
One of the last teams. Like, it goes all the other ones, Cardinals, then the Titans for the national media coverage and importance.
That's what happens.
That's what happens when you have a wide receiver as a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So the Arizona Cardinals their head coach is Cliff Kingsbury. I'm not sure if you know this, but Cliff Kingsbury had a losing record in college. Okay. He took the USC offensive coordinator job, which was really to be in line for the head coaching job once the head coach got fired. Clay Helton, I believe, at the time. Now, Cliff Kingsbury didn't think he was going to get any looks from the NFL, so he took a college job. Michael Bidwell and Steve Keim said, "Not so fast, baby. Boop, you're going to be an NFL head coach." This is like, out of a dream scenario. Cliff Kingsbury's been fine. Okay, the Cardinals have gotten more and more wins every year since he's taken over. You can give him credit, you can give Kyler Murray credit, and the players credit, whatever. But the Cardinals are now in a very precarious situation. And Tyler, Cliff Kingsbury is at the top of a very, very important list that no head coach wants to be on top of.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the odds from BetOnline for the next NFL head coach to be fired, Cliff Kingsbury is minus 105, meaning he is the absolute favorite right now. After that, you have Nathaniel Hackett at plus 200, Ron Rivera at plus 300. Then there's a big drop-off, Frank Reich at plus 1,200, Dan Campbell at plus 1,600, Kevin Stefanski at plus 2,200, and Matt Eberflus from the Bears at plus 3,300. So clearly, Cliff Kingsbury is the favorite. And Alex, could you tell us why he may be the favorite to be the next head coach fired?
So here's the thing. There's a couple different ways that you can look at the relationship between a head coach and his players. The relationship between a head coach and the win-loss record that comes with that team. Before I talk about Cliff, I want to take a second and talk about Mike Vrabel, a guy that you know very well. Okay, the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. Locked On Titans, your host, Tyler Rowland. There were a couple of years where the Titans were wavering around 500, okay? And it's like, you know what? It went from not great to Mike Vrabel to good, but you knew who the leader of that team was. You knew who everybody trusted. You knew who was calling the shots. You knew who was the anchor that was, or the propeller or whatever that was leading that team. And it was Mike Vrabel. And there was no question about it. No doubt about who the most important person on the sideline every week was. And it was Mike Vrabel. That's leadership from a head coaching position. The Cardinals, it's really difficult to connect the dots with why they win games, why they lose games, why things go well, why things don't go well, because Cliff Kingsbury only takes care of one side of the ball. He doesn't know where the defensive locker room is. That's not his job. That's why Vance Joseph is pretty much associate head coach. Has it been Kyler Murray that's been winning in spite of Cliff Kingsbury? Has Cliff Kingsbury led to the growth of Kyler Murray as an NFL player? I don't think so. So he got his contract extension this offseason. I almost threw up. And then I was like, I tweeted out immediately, Kyler Murray should request a trade today.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know what? This is what the definition of insanity is for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, bringing it back home here, and I'll let you go, I promise. I'm not going to take this whole segment up. The disjointed nature in why things go well and why things don't go well shows instability. I'd rather say it's all Cliff good, all Cliff bad. That's what a head coach is supposed to take. All the praise and all the flack. And we don't know why it is. Now, the only thing that's going to be the hindrance here, he got the contract extension. It goes into effect in 2023. That's not the snag here, in my opinion. It's the ego of owner Michael Bidwell, who will refuse to say that he's wrong by giving Cliff Kingsbury that extension. And now this definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting different results, will continue. So I do not think he will be the next coach that gets fired.
I actually agree with you 100%. I think although he probably deserves to be the next coach fired, it'll be an ego thing and it'll be a money thing. He's got a brand new contract. And like you mentioned before we came on, the extension doesn't even really kick in until next season. The owner is not going to flush the money down, because if you flush the money down, you also flush your ego down. That's a little bit too much. You'd probably clog it up. So I doubt that Cliff Kingsbury is going to be the next coach fired. I wouldn't place that bet. But just quickly, I agree with everything you said. He probably deserves it, but it's the reality of whether or not it'll happen. This is another one where I struggle with whether or not it would really happen, because it is such a bad look, but it also may be necessary. And it's Nathaniel Hackett. Not only is he a guy with no head coaching experience, but he hired a staff of coaches that don't have a lot of experience in their current positions as well. So it's not only him being a rookie first-time head coach, but a lot of guys in positions that they've never done without a lot of experience. I think that with new owners for the Broncos and George Payton in there trying to make sure that things go well, with all the money they put into Russ, it's a lot easier to fire the coach. And Hackett is big high-profile things, and they're trying to – that report from Ian Rappaport earlier this week saying Russ's injury, it's a real injury. Like, he literally put that in the tweet. It's a real injury, because every time Russ plays bad, there's some new injury that nobody knew about that he was playing through, because he's such a tough guy and this and that. And there's just some potential fraudulence there. And I think that the answer to that, it'll be easy for Broncos ownership to get away with firing Hackett in 1 year, in his first year, because of the high-profile mistakes that he's made. And we got some more Broncos primetime games, sadly, coming up for him to make some more boneheaded mistakes. And we're already seeing discontent on the sideline. If I had to place a bet, if you had gun to my head and made me place a bet on one of these, I'm taking Nathaniel Hackett over Cliff Kingsbury, because I think that Denver has less ego involved and it would be more willing to cut off their mistake immediately.
Yeah, that's interesting. And they also have less of a window, because Russell Wilson is 10 years older than Kyler Murray.
Exactly. They don't have time to mess around.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, because this is what we do here. We don't just have the topics everybody else talks about. We will get to our favorite games of the weekend here in a minute. Tyler and I only get to talk once a week. We're going to go 29 minutes. It's what we do. So which job, all things considered, is more appealing to you? Would you rather take Russell Wilson, who may or may not have played his way into being hobbled the rest of his career because he played through so many injuries early on? Byron Leftwich like six or seven games in a season with a broken ankle, Or do you take Kyler Murray with the question marks surrounding him? Is he the real deal? Is he not? Things like that, where they have weapons galore, more proven weapons galore on the offensive side of the ball in Arizona, but it's kind of a fractured ecosystem with the owner and GM.
I think personally I'm going with Denver.
Yeah,
I like their young defense better. I like the pieces on offense. And quite honestly, when you're looking at like a franchise prestige situation, I'd rather just I'd rather live in Denver than Phoenix. And because I'm more of a, I'm a Midwest guy, so I still want a little bit of coldness to it. And, the Broncos are just a better franchise, coming from someone who covers the Titans and someone who covers the Cardinals. The Broncos are just a much better franchise than both of those. So I'd rather be there. I'd go with Denver.
Yeah, fair enough. Alex Clancy, Locked on Cardinals. Tyler Rowland, Locked on Titans. We are Locked on NFL Thursday. Thanks for making Locked on NFL your first listen each and every day, free and available on all platforms. There are some juicy matchups this weekend. And Tyler, one last thing. Play the crappiest games Thursday night every single week. Everybody's going to watch. Why would you put marquee games on a Thursday night? Aside from, we talked about this last week, aside from TV partners with Amazon, Al Michaels looks like he's ready to retire. Like, he's like, you know what? I hopefully got paid a lot of money. Yeah, I'm shutting it down. I'm shutting it down. Get Steve Levy in here. Him and his boy, or Chris Fowler, him and his boy Kirk Herbstreit can take over. Anyways, I digress.
It's like food restaurants. They put their best specials on the days when people order. Like, every good pizza place puts their best special on Wednesday. You know people are ordering pizzas on Friday and Saturday. You know people are watching on Sunday, watching the game no matter what. So put your crap out there and let it line up so you get the best bang for your buck, man. It makes sense.
There is something that is not crap that can help you all of the time, and that's called a perfect transition. Our friends at Simply Safe. All right, here's a sports analogy for you. When it comes to burglars, your home is like the end zone, and you need the absolute strongest defense you can muster. That's why I use and trust Simply Safe Home Security. At Simply Safe, your safety is the only thing that matters. It's cutting-edge technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back. So you always, know your home is safe, which is super important. All right. Imagine not having home security, and imagine going to bed at night. I'm paranoid. I lock all my doors. I lock all my windows. I'm like, who knows? Who the hell knows? Simply Safe can take that, unknown part of right before you go to sleep or when you go out of town or whatever, can just remove it from your cerebellum. With 24/7 professional monitoring, Simply Safe's agent call you the moment a threat is detected and dispatch police or first responders in an emergency, even if you're not home or can't be reached. Simply Safe blankets your home in protection with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and outside your home, smarter ways to detect motion that only alert you when a threat is real. So it's like if your cat's walking around, you're not going to get pinged, and even hazard sensors that instantly detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplysafe.com/LockedOnNFL. Save 20% on your Simply Safe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month for free. Visit simplysafe.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
All right, Alex, Locked On NFL Thursday. We are going to cap things off. We're going to pick our game of the week. What game are we looking forward to the most in the Week 7 NFL slate? Want to thank you guys again for making Locked On NFL podcast your first listen every day. I am your host, Tyler Rowland of Locked On Titans, here with Locked On Cardinals host Alex Clancy. We talked about the Thursday night football matchup. We talked about the next head coach that could be fired in the NFL. Both had some very Arizona-centric topics. Glad we had Alex on to break those down for us. You're not going to get a better breakdown of those topics than you're going to be able to get with Alex right now. But for the game of the week, Alex, I am going to go first.
Damn it.
I had a couple of them, and it was kind of hard this week. It was hard.
Okay.
But the one that I'm looking at, and it may not seem so beautiful, but I swear it's a very, very interesting game, is the Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Atlanta Falcons. I think that game, it's very interesting. Cincinnati could be without DJ Reader. They could be without Logan Wilson as well on the interior. It's going to make it a lot more difficult for them to stop the run, and they struggled with the run against the Saints last week. The Falcons run the ball the most of any team in the NFL, I do believe. They are just going to run the ball down your throat. And with Arthur Smith, love you. I love you, Arthur Smith. I miss you every day. With Arthur Smith, the absolute outside zone wizard as the head coach of the Falcons, I think they're going to be able to run the ball on the Bengals. I know the Bengals can make big plays in the passing game, but I think this game is going to be very entertaining. I think it's an incredible matchup with what these teams are good at and bad at, and I think that that's going to be an entertaining football game. I'd keep my eyes on the Falcons against the Bengals. Falcons at 3-3, and the Bengals at 3-3. So the Bengals really need to start making a push to kind of set themselves apart in the AFC. And if the Falcons win this game, they're legit, baby. They are legit. So this is a an interesting game, in my opinion. Atlanta versus Cincinnati.
Sorry, I fell asleep. That's awesome. That's great. That'll be my nap time. That'll be my napsy time with my Baba. No, there's a couple when like there's a couple games like that, Tyler, and of course,
right,
being the Dayton, Ohio kid with Cincinnati ties, so there's a couple, and I'm going to give my honorable mention, and then I'm going to give mine. My honorable mention is Jets Broncos, because this could be one of the weirdest, because Zach Wilson hasn't played great at all. He hasn't played well. No. The defense, though, Robert Saleh, we talked about Mike Vrabel in the second segment. There is no doubt about who the leader of this team is. And it's Robert Saleh. It's not the players. It's not. It's Robert Saleh. And what he's done since going over, it was a bad year or two. Zach Wilson got hurt to start the year. He ended up coming back. Them being 4-2 is probably the biggest story, even more than the Giants being 5-1. Because they beat the Packers in embarrassing fashion at Lambeau.
Right.
And I want to see if Russell Wilson can come in and beat a team he's supposed to beat at home. Would you be shocked if the Jets beat the Broncos at this point? Not completely.
No. The Jets may be a better team. They just may be a better team. That's where we're at.
And they won the draft. They absolutely won the draft this year. They drafted everybody that they wanted.
The Seahawks, with the way their rookie class is playing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the Jets they had sexier draft picks. They had more name recognition. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, they had more name recognition. So that's the honorable mention. And I think the Giants Jaguars is going to be fascinating. Let's do it again. Daniel Jones.
Right.
But for me, it's Chiefs 49ers. It's in Northern California. It's at Levi Stadium. And normally these games, when you have a Midwest team going to a defense-first team on the West Coast, it's kind of clunky. You don't expect Patrick Mahomes to put up a 40-burger on the 49ers. This is a game where the 49ers could win. I don't even know what the line is on BetOnline, but it can't be more than a couple points either way. This is close to a pick 'em. I think it's going to be fascinating to see for both teams because, as you know, I did pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. I think that this is the year of vindication for them. And the 49ers have a lot to prove still to stay atop the NFC West. So that's going to be mine. I think that's going to be the sexiest of games on Sunday.
If the 49ers have even a modicum of health on defense, that's going to be an awesome game. I agree. But if we get the San Francisco second string defense like we got last week against Atlanta, I don't know if they're going to be able to hold up against the Chiefs. So let's pray for health. Speaking of people playing in games, confirmed Robbie Anderson will play on Thursday night per Josina Anderson. So strap up for that. Robbie Anderson does.
Watch out for the 3rd and 5 go routes. It's going to be Robbie Anderson running them instead of Greg Dortch or Hollywood Brown or Zach Ertz or AJ Green. It's going to be somebody else. It's going to be Robbie Anderson. 3rd and 1 go route.
Yeah.
Throw 30 yards down the field. It's going to be Robbie Anderson.
Nothing fixes a problem like another wide receiver, said Cliff Kingsbury. That's a great place to finish it. Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the Locked On NFL Thursday show. Chris Carter and your boy Q will be back tomorrow to break down the rest of the NFL weekend. Monday through Friday, NFL content here on the Locked On NFL podcast for free. You guys have a great weekend. Football's back.